This week on Another Brother.
Craig, Heather's uncle,
Says
he can most certainly get you all on.
I can't remember how to do integrals anymore.
Heaven forbid I ever learn to do an integral.
Well,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. It just keeps yelling like louder and louder and louder.
Brother over here, brother over there, brother everywhere. Another brother.
All right, brothers, both in this room and elsewhere. Got a little update that I just wanted to share with everyone. We might be about to have a saga on our hands. We'll find out.
Did you say saga?
Saga. So yesterday was 4th of July.
yeah.
Heather's parents were with her grandma and her uncle.
Oh my gosh.
And so Melanie, my mother-in-law, texted me yesterday, middle of the day. Craig, Heather's uncle, says he can most certainly get you all onto Skinwalker Ranch.
No way.
Oh my gosh.
But Brandon Fugel, the owner, won't let his kids go on the property. Craig's wife won't let him go either. Craig's got some good stories from Brandon he's been telling us today. So then I texted her and she texted back. He says people go home and seem to have things follow them. I asked if they are all bad things or if there are good things. No answer. But Brandon bought it. But Brandon bought the ranch to discover the science behind the stories and quickly became astounded. He tries to figure out if the veil is thin there or a window or another realm. If people ask if he's a believer, he says he doesn't have to believe. He's seen it.
See, that's like Tom. Okay, well, first of all.
So let me real quickly, let me temper a little bit. I texted Craig today and he said, just be aware, I'm not certain about how many people Brandon lets go out there. So it's possible he might say no. So that's all. Just got to keep in mind.
You emphasize people. Because they'll allow total, like, complete herds of cattle. Is that why you did that? Okay.
But
Okay.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No. I'm preparing myself right now. Boom. All right. Prepared.
I was going to say, speaking of the ranch, this morning, episode 10 got published. That was the episode where we first spoke about the ranch.
Oh, episode 10 of the podcast.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
It only published like 2 or 3 out of our total channels.
Oh.
It didn't publish anywhere else. I had to go back in and manually hit update, and then it went to the rest of our channels. And even then, it took hours until our show notes finally got to Spotify.
Oh, so they are on Spotify.
They are now. Yep.
Because I looked probably around 2 p.m. and they still weren't there, I think.
Yeah, I think it was around 7 that I looked again. So anyway, just more weird stuff. That's all.
That hasn't happened on any of the previous 10 published
it hasn't.
tracks.
A lot of this has never happened before on that episode.
I'm wrong. Sorry. Show notes still aren't
Still
there.
not on, right?
Still not there. Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. If the ranch doesn't want you to read them, it doesn't want you to read them.
But I got them on the website.
Okay.
I'm in control of that.
Right.
Not you, Ranch.
Don't challenge the ranch.
Well,
you crazy?
I'm going to bring smudge sticks and rosary not a rosary.
The show notes are everywhere else.
Sage.
It's only Spotify.
Make bundles of sage.
Sage. Yeah, for the smudging.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that would be awesome. And if we're new people, we'd be new people to the ranch. And if they're prepared and like, okay, let's see if the ranch is going to respond, we could help produce some science for them.
I think that's part of the problem. I don't think they want random strangers coming in and
Right. So I mean, hopefully they would coordinate and we'd set a time so that they can make sure that current ongoing experiments are completed and or they're at a stage of an experiment where they're ready to maybe stimulate some responses.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they want people.
Oh, they don't want people to stimulate the ranch.
I don't think so. I mean, you keep hearing how safety conscious they are. I don't think they would want things to happen as a result of bringing guests to the ranch.
Brandon
other
seems,
than experts.
Right, exactly. Brandon seems to me to be pretty mindful of the optics around the ranch. They get real professionals, real experts to come do whatever extra tests the normal crew can't handle. I don't know that he would want it hitting the news that 3 bing bongs like us went out to the ranch and like died or something.
Well, we better not die. It's still a ranch. I don't plan on dying. But I mean, like, you know, we grew up in the Pacific Northwest. We have respect for like the native cultures and spiritual things, and we're not going to be like these like ghost hunter type guys that are going to be, you know,
Dumb.
Yo, I'm Ricky from New Jersey.
Yeah. I mean, we're cool.
I don't know what that was.
I don't either.
But you got New Jersey. So.
All right, so that's my update.
Okay, so
He's been letting that hang over our heads since yesterday, by the way.
Yeah,
Not having any idea what this update was going to be.
I shouldn't have said anything.
I called it.
I ruined it.
You did. And I thought, no.
I didn't call it the precise update, but I can tell. You can tell when you've got Jacob because then he goes silent and his face gets serious and he doesn't allow himself to say anything anymore. That's when you know you spoiled his surprises.
That was my bad.
Cool.
Well, if our wives allow it, we'll see what happens.
That's the thing. Like after reading some of George Knapp's recounting.
Well, let's just cut it there because Heather's already okay with me going. So
it sounds like
leave
a
it
great
at that.
place. It's like Disneyland.
Well, should we get to it?
Okay. We had our first listener provided feedback through our website, anotherbrotherpodcast.com. There is a contact form where you can submit questions or input, whatever you'd like.
Yeah, you could tell us we suck, but, whatever.
Which she did start
Please
that
don't,
way.
though.
No. Actually, she started by saying, I'm the wife of one of the brothers.
Oh, come on, you didn't have to say that.
Just cut it in post.
She said she'd been listening from the beginning.
Okay, that's true. That's what she said, but I read the email address, so I know who it is. Regardless of who it was, we had a suggestion to discuss a point or a couple points of advice that we might give ourselves in hindsight when we were growing up. Yeah, so the question at hand that we'll be answering is, what advice would you give yourself at X age and why? So I'll start.
Wait, at X age or Y age?
N. No, because probably N age.
Okay.
Take that grammatically or mathematically, if you will. Which segues into my advice for myself. Take math seriously.
Okay.
And don't let drama and feelings and poor inner dialogue throw you off the hunt for mathematics.
Drama threw you off of math?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna.
It was that fever dream, right, where the numbers came alive?
No, that was horrifying. That probably didn't help. Yeah, I still actually. It's been a while, but I would still have like that recur.
That's really
Yeah.
This is a literal fever dream, by the way. He had a fever.
I was in like
Had a
5th
crazy
grade
dream.
when I was memorizing the multiplication tables, and I got really sick, had a fever, and I was like knocked out on the sofa in the TV room. No. I think I was in my bed. But anyway, I had this dream of these. It started off slow. It was like, here's a mathematics table, like the sheet, and it would just kind of float in vision, and then it would swap out, and a new one would show up, and then a new one would show up, and then they started like spinning, and then they would spin faster and faster, and then they kept like spinning around in my view, and eventually I'm like, I just knew these things were going to explode. It was terrifying, and I guess I woke up screaming and sweaty, and I think then Mom moved me to the sofa, maybe. Probably gave me a heavy dose of Tylenol. So prior to that, in 3rd grade, I'll say this. I don't think it's wise to do these like talented and gifted programs, or especially at that young age.
Odyssey of the Mind. Isn't that what you were in?
No, that was different though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that was that didn't make any didn't create self-perceptions of I'm stupid or I'm smarter than everyone else. That was just kind of like, you got to create a play and create that was fun. That was like more artsy.
Okay, cool. Didn't know that.
Yeah. But like, so in 2nd grade, I got into the Oregon's Talented and Gifted program, which did 0 for me, by the way. I never had extra homework. I never got treated differently. I never was given additional assignments or.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's supposed to follow you through middle school.
Yeah. Right.
It did nothing. It was not implemented whatsoever other than the testing in second grade.
Weird.
But then third grade, I had an awesome teacher. I was super smart for my age, and to the point where my teacher would have me grade other people's homework. So I would get done so fast.
What a racket,
I know.
nerd.
I would get done so fast that when I finished, she'd send me into the back room that was attached to our classroom, and I'd wait. And then as other kids got done, they'd bring me their paper.
Teacher's aide.
And and I'd have like the grading key. And so I had this whole classroom to myself, and I'd start grading and just marking, like, with the red pen and everything. And so it felt good. Like I didn't feel prideful about it at that point, but it felt really good. I felt like, man, I'm a smart kid. This is awesome. And a bunch of other stuff. I started dabbling with the reader board for the library, and I was like programming.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
In third grade.
I remember that, actually.
This is at Gubser?
At Gupser.
Yeah.
But anyway, then fast forward to fourth grade, Mr. Kenton. And I'm putting that name out there.
You're a horrible
teacher.
Guy. He was bad.
Horrible teacher.
He was bad.
Oh, I had him for math, but
I had a friend that I had created a story for. This is just a little vignette. I had created a story, and I was telling him this story idea I had. I had written most of it out. He's like, hey, that's really cool. You should come over to my house, and we should type it up on my computer because I have a computer and a printer.
His friend, not Mr. Kenton.
My friend. Yeah, my friend. And so I'm like, oh, cool. I might make a friend out of this. So I go over, we type up the story. That's my story. We don't change anything about it. Then I go home and I illustrate it. And then we show up to class, and my friend is like, hey, look at this story we wrote. And Mr. Kenton, and so we read it to the class.
Okay.
And he just refused to think that I had written any of it.
Cool.
He just ignored me, gave all the credit to my friend. I was so mad. But okay, anyway, he's just a bad teacher. He made me feel really crappy about myself.
Me too.
And I would fidget in my desk, and he'd get mad at me.
I remember this.
And it would happen with parent-teacher conference.
Yeah.
It was a big ordeal. I'm like, what the crap, dude? Anyway.
He thought I was restless.
Were you? Did you think you were?
No. I have no idea what he was talking about.
I had an eraser inside my cubby desk that I would fiddle between my fingers. I wasn't slamming. I wasn't making any noise whatsoever. And I'd get done with his freaking assignments in 10 minutes. And he had those geometric shape puzzle things that you draw lines between.
Yeah.
I burned through all 100 of those in the first few months of that school year. Because I'd be done. I didn't have anything to do. I'd get up, I'd grab one, knock it out. And I think he was just upset that he sucks as a teacher.
Couldn't keep you challenged.
But anyway, so then we had math in a separate classroom.
Yeah.
And he had identified me as a problem child.
Of course.
And so I got put in the problem kid math class.
Yeah, me too.
Whoa.
I remember that. Yeah. And that teacher I can't remember her name.
I don't remember her name either.
I don't think she was bad, but she wasn't supportive. She didn't do a lot to teach.
I liked her better than Mr. Kenton.
Oh,
but
I did too.
Yeah.
But I didn't feel like I was really learning much. So then you're a bad math, followed you into fifth grade.
Right.
And all of my peers that I viewed as the most social, most outgoing, most fun, that were in our ward as well, went to Mrs. Ream, homeroom.
Yeah, that's where all my friends were too.
And she was also the high math teacher.
Yep.
Oh.
I went to Mrs. Fraser, who I loved.
Oh, wait. I did have Mrs. Kenton for homeroom class or whatever you would call it. She was my fifth grade teacher.
Who? Ream or
Sorry,
Fraser?
Mrs. Ream.
You had Ream. Yeah. I thought you had Mrs.
I
Ream.
had Mrs. Ream.
I had Mrs. Fromhurst for everything.
Or Fromhurst, that's what I
But
meant.
she did when I was there, she was highest for math and
Oh. I wonder if they maybe
reading.
just rotate each year.
maybe.
Yeah, I had Mrs. Fromhurst.
I had a curry with me and Mrs. Ream, so I have to imagine that she was considered the high. Curries were always very high achieving.
They were, very gung ho. Yeah. So and then I had the low math teacher again, and it was just memorize things. Anyway, so I just really always thought I was horrible at math, and whenever I had a math assignment, I would get into that internal dialogue, "Oh, you're an idiot! You're never gonna get this," and it became really not fun. Even though I love puzzles, I love analysis, I love data, I love programming, all these things.
Right.
To the point where Like I can't math. I can't has math. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah. I don't know where I'd be or what I'd be doing now. Like my mechanical engineering professional program at BYU.
That's what I was gonna say.
Couldn't continue that because I bombed the math classes. There's a lot of reasons behind that. But anyway, so if time is circular,
Oh boy.
if little Josh, you're going to listen to this in the future past.
Josh wakes up tomorrow, goes into his engineering job.
In the future's past, give yourself a break. You're a smart kid. You're capable. You work hard. Learn that math. You do you, boy. Old Josh out.
Mic drop. Well, mine's not too dissimilar from that. I don't know about you, Jacob. So I don't know if you want to go now or you want me to go.
I'll go.
Okay.
I was telling them this is going to end up like the music stew nerds, where they had legitimate, like, awesome songs with like deep personal meanings and stuff. And then I was like, yeah, I like emo music. Makes me rock. The very first thing
You talked about crying.
it's true.
That got raw.
Yeah, sure. I am generally very happy with my life and the way things have gone, and I wouldn't change things. So the very first thing that popped into my head, I would go back and tell high school me to take a weightlifting class every single year.
Okay.
Because sophomore year was the only year I took a lifting class, and I made huge PRs in track.
Yeah.
I think it has to be correlated to just the raw strength and power gain from
Yeah, you
power
focused on
from
sprinting,
lifting.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
as a
that's a
sprinter.
strength thing, not an endurance thing.
Trains those fast twitch muscles. Sprinting is about explosives and power. So I would go back and take a weightlifting class every year of high school.
And what would be even greater, here's additional advice for yourself, for your kids. I mean, like, because weightlifting in high school was like just classical lifting. But if you were able to do it and apply it to sprinting, it's like, yeah, the explosive movement,
Right.
not just your typical.
Which was something I might not have known about that my sophomore year, but later in high school, I knew that the way in which you perform the lifting movement has bearing on that as well. Yeah. Quick, explosive. And then an actual real, like, sincere one.
Hey, that's.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I know.
That's good.
Be nicer to my little sister. Like,
Yeah.
I was just such a
Dingus.
jerkwad
were.
to Lizzie.
What
Really
a
were.
That's
jerk.
I think it sounds like all of us were, though.
that's
Well, yeah. I think
Or
so.
insensitive.
well,
at least.
great. I think I can probably say that's my one regret in life. Just being a crappy bigger brother. I might have one other regret, but like that's it. That takes the cake.
That would probably be my earliest regret along a list of many. That would probably be my earliest one. My first. Just not knowing what I know now. And like when I'm raising my kids to like, you know, like the older sibling, like, hey, beware of your younger sibling. Talk to him, play with him,
Mhm.
Well,
build a relationship, even if they're 10 years older than them.
it wasn't even just that. It was the polar opposite. I actively was mean to her. It wasn't just like ignoring or the lack of building relationship. It was that I took that to the other end, which just sucks.
That does.
So
We love you, Lizzie.
it's
Yeah.
true.
It is true. Is that the
That's
passing
it.
of the baton to me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
All right.
Baton.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Track.
Ah,
Okay. So, like I said, mine's not too dissimilar from Josh's. So after graduating high school, I spent a year working to save up money to pay for those of you that aren't members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the missionaries that go out and serve missions for our church pay for their missions. This isn't something that the church pays for.
You betcha.
the church totally could, but they don't.
I mean,
Where needed, it does.
Yes.
it's done in such a way that every missionary pays the same. Actually, that might have changed now. I can't remember how it works anymore. But when I was a missionary, every missionary paid the same amount, no matter where in the world they went on their mission.
Yeah.
Right.
And I do believe that some of that was subsidized by the church through tithing and stuff.
$400 a month was not paying for my Plano, Texas apartment.
Right.
And food.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Gas.
Yeah. What we paid did not pay for everything that I got in Italy. But it was still a not insignificant amount of money for those 2 years. So I spent a year before my mission working to save up money to try and pay for as much of it as I could. And I became an absolute idiot. My brain just died that year working as a cashier at Sportsman's Warehouse, surrounded by a genre of music I don't enjoy at all. Still really good people that I worked with. And as we've said before, it did sort of help with the paintball hobby with those professional discounts on things. But my advice to myself, I can't say that I would tell myself not to do that and to go to school, because that was money that I think we needed to pay for my mission. But to do something to keep myself stimulated. Don't go home depressed and watch nothing but Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings and play video games and paintball. Do something, especially with music. Keep playing the trumpet. Get in some kind of band. I had no idea how to even figure that out. What resources were available to find people to play with. Craigslist wasn't exactly a thing
a lot
yet.
harder back then compared to now.
But do something to stay active in music, to keep up on math and science as much as possible, because I was really good at math too at that point in time. Now I'm a complete reject when it comes to math. I can't remember how to do integrals anymore.
Heaven forbid I ever learn to do an integral.
Well, I thought I would never forget how to do integrals, but I do not recall.
Well, I do wish I could have held on to all like science and math knowledge. It makes sense. It's all gone.
Right.
I mean, when and why would I have ever used that all?
It
does suck though.
I kind of, to an extent, blame our education at that time. Like, no one was actively trying to like apply it. Like, you need to know this,
right?
Or, applied sciences, applied math, applied language. I think, but it sounds like from Shayna's education and education in education, things are a lot different now.
Yeah,
I think so.
But like, my life might have been a lot smoother had I done all of that. I might be in aviation right now, whether as an engineer or pilot, I don't know. But I've always wanted to be in aviation, and I don't see that happening anymore.
Boo.
I don't see how that, even as a private pilot license, I don't think that's going to happen, which is a bummer.
I found a common thread. Oh, maybe not the weightlifting one.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Lack of loving ourselves. Yeah. You didn't love yourself enough to lift. Not work out, but lift. Or to let yourself be nice to Lizzie. I didn't love myself enough to tell myself that I can do math. You didn't love yourself enough to go home and
to accept that these were real skills that needed to be held on to at all costs.
Keep working on.
For sure.
So, brothers, make sure you love yourself.
That's what brothers are for.
Hey, kids, do you know what time it is?
Story time!
This is going to be kind of like an account of some of the funnier things. Well, a mixture of it's going to be a mixed bag of some basic combat training stories.
Okay.
So I don't think I've talked to either of you guys about any basic training stuff.
I don't think so.
No.
Nope.
So to tee up the first story, how basic training works is you've probably seen like commercials and things or like YouTube videos of like the drill sergeants yelling at the new recruits and they're getting yelled off the bus like,
Sure.
Classic.
So classic. Well, that happens actually at what's called reception. So you take like a red-eye bus straight into the basic training base, but they drive you into what's called reception, and it's kind of like a holding area for like days or weeks until the training company you're going to join is ready to receive you. And it's horrible.
Good grief.
At their own leisure. Like,
Yeah. So
I feel like military training is all about discomfort.
it 100% is. So this is part of it. Throughout the entire experience, you sit when, how, and where they want you to. You stand when, how, and where they want you to. You make eye contact with who, when, how they want you to. Everything is completely regimented. You have no freedom of movement or freedom of behavior whatsoever if you want to have a smooth experience.
Sure.
So anyway, so reception, like you come in, you're basically there to just in process into the training base. And so most holdovers at reception are because like some paperwork issues and or medical issues or just your training company's not ready to receive you. That's also where you get chunks of your scalp ripped out as they're giving you your 30-second haircut with the razor. And you take like a little mini physical fitness test and are just generally made to feel like crap and you're not getting nearly enough sleep. And just being yelled at and told to go stand in this line and now actually go stand in that line. Just stupid stuff to keep you uncomfortable and on your toes and fearful of when the next instruction is going to come and who is going to come from. Because in reception, you have people that are like administratively over you, but also any of these drill sergeants there, because they know you don't have a timeline, you have nothing to do. Any drill sergeant there, if they see you, they can just like bark an order at you and you just have to go do it. You have to comply. It's ridiculous.
Is this like the gatekeeping classes, like pre-med classes that are meant to break someone who's not going to be up to snuff as a doctor sort of a thing?
That's basically all of basic. Yeah, that's like the entire basic. Because at any point, people will fall out and leave.
Sure.
Which goes into my first story and second story.
Okay.
So once you're to go to the training company, you show up at the company and it's basically your company's like, it's this big kind of apartment-like looking building, like a stucco facade, really tall, like multiple floors tall. And then you have these little, I would call them like open, Whitaker Middle School and McNary had that like centered courtyard thing. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's kind of like a courtyard, but it's open on one side. So, and then on either side of that opening is more concrete part of the building, it's pretty big. So you walk into this like opening of the courtyard and then all around you is like an open floor and then the ceiling above you. I don't know.
In the courtyard?
I don't know how to explain this very well.
There's a courtyard or a ceiling in the courtyard?
This is like the only place that I've been that looks like this. So here's a picture. So that you can see the outside there. That's where you would enter this area.
Okay.
And then on either side of this open courtyard is your platoon area. And this entire area is called your company training area. So there's 4 platoons in the company, and each platoon is sectioned off in 1/4 of this area. And that's like where you form up and get harassed out in the open at the beginning of the day, middle of the day, end of the day.
Right.
So that's kind of like where a lot of the training, like a lot of the yelling training goes on. And then inside you have these open bay rooms just for your platoon. Males and females are separated for the entire company, but then each platoon of males have their own open bay. So it's a big open floor plan and you have bunk beds lining the outside of the room. And then you have a wall locker. Each person in each bunk has a wall locker. And then in the dead center of the open bay is the no man's zone, no man's land. And you do not touch it. There can be no trash on it. There can be no dust. There can be no object of any kind in the no man's zone, or you just get destroyed. And we're talking like hours upon hours of getting smoked.
And is it everyone?
Everybody.
One person messes up, everyone suffers.
Absolutely.
Getting smoked meaning push-ups until you fail?
Meaning if you're inside that room getting smoked, the walls are dripping with sweat.
Ooh.
Or, moisture from breathing. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
We had one particular drill sergeant who we would have to run outside. This would be at like 10 at night. They'd wake us up. We'd have to, if we were lucky enough to be asleep already,
Right.
we'd have to run down multiple flights of stairs, grab sandbags, bring them back upstairs, and we would do sandbag PT, sandbag physical training, in our freaking room, getting sand everywhere. You're doing sit-ups, sandbag push-ups, shoulder presses.
And then you have to clean up all that sand
And then
perfectly
you have to
after.
Yes, exactly. And not just using the broom,
gosh.
you have to mop.
Of course.
So whenever you broom, you also have to follow up with mop every single time. So just a horrible place to be. I preferred getting smoked outside because at least you have the wind. But then at the far end of the bay was the bathroom, and it had 2 swinging doors to get into the bathroom. There were only 4 stalls.
Like batwing doors?
Yeah.
Huh.
No. A full door, but
Okay,
it hinges open
Sure.
on either.
Yeah. Like a restaurant kitchen or something.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
And so you had like 4 stalls for all 40 of you to use,
Ooh.
4 sinks, and maybe 6 shower heads in an open Tree of Life shower.
Oh, boy.
And
Yeah.
and we're talking, you had tight bedtimes, tight hygiene times, to the point where you would be given like 15 minutes to, like, the end of the training day, you'd have 15 minutes to use a bathroom, brush your teeth,
For all
shower
40 men.
for everybody, shower and get dressed in your sleep uniform. And
Sleeping.
well, it's your PT uniform.
Sounds like Barney Stinson sleeping in a suit.
I just like that you have issued
Your sleep
pajamas.
suit. Yeah, it's your physical training uniform. And also toe the line. Towing the line means you're in a position of attention, toes on the line, circling around the no man's zone.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody's missing, so you have this in the morning, toe the line, and you have it at night before lights out, toe the line.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody's missing, all hell breaks loose. And like one particular night,
This sounds like a classic scene from a movie.
oh
Like
yeah,
I think we've all seen this
this
scenario.
is cool. Yes, yeah. I think it's usually like the Marines in the movies I've seen. Quintessential basic training. We had one guy who had a really unfortunate bowel movement timing, and so he was in the toilet, and we're all just like, so he toes the line, but then he's like, oh, I gotta go, and we're all like, no, don't, just wait, man. It's like sneaking to the bathroom after lights out. Come on, dude. He couldn't hold it. Rightly so, because the dining facility food can do just a number on you.
Sure.
So sure enough, our drill sergeant Hong Tong, who is a crazy, crazy man, he comes in, he does his head count, and he's like, why are there only 41? Where's number 42? And we're all just like, we just point to the bathroom. And he goes, oh, yeah. And he runs. Like, these guys live to just mess you up. And so he sprints down the length of the open bay, and
The imagery is just so good.
I'm picturing the Kool-Aid.
oh yeah. He runs and he does this flying ninja kick into
this
door, into the swinging door, and his foot, no kidding, makes contact with the door. If you were to slice it up into quarters, height wise, it hits the 3/4 mark.
Oh, dang.
And the door breaks at that point and gets knocked off its hinges. Like, it pulls the hinges out of the door frame, and he just like swats it to the side as he's still just like moving right in. And he's just yelling at this kid, and he's like, he's pooping. He's on the toilet. He can't get off the toilet. Doesn't matter how much you're yelling at me. And so after Hong Tong's done yelling at him, he comes out and he's like, oh, he picks the door up. It's like trying to like shove the hinges back into the door frame. He's like, oh, and he just throws it to his side. He's like, you guys will fix this tomorrow.
Not an army engineer, clearly.
He was actually a special forces weapons sergeant. It's called an 18 Bravo. And the dude was insane.
I want to know what would have happened to that poor kid if he had kept towing the line and it had happened in line. Like, I swear, I know that drill sergeant would have been on him just as bad.
Oh, we would all.
But he would have been
so bad.
But that kid would have been on everybody else too. Pretty bad.
Oh, that would have been like a major health, violation.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the environment. It's just chaos all the freaking time. So one of these kids that I was with, so for 2 weeks, my response was always to just kind of like smile when they're yelling at me. Like, the brim of their hat is on your forehead.
Uh-huh.
You're spitting in my face because I can no longer hold my rifle above my head. Like, it's ridiculous. I can't physically hold my rifle anymore. I would just laugh. I'm like, dude, what do you want me to do? I had already, I had served my LDS mission. I had been to 2 years of college. I had some pretty decent life experience. I was probably as old or close in age to the drill sergeants. And I'm just like, dude, you can't hurt. Like, your responses aren't going to hurt me. You can't do anything. I know you can't touch me. I'm going to work out as hard as I can. But when I can't anymore, like, whatever, man. And so very quickly they made me the platoon sergeant, the student platoon sergeant.
Mm-hmm.
And then like a couple weeks after that, they made me the company student first sergeant, which actually really sucked. But
not where I thought that was going to go.
Well, so as the platoon sergeant, all these kids who were like fresh out of high school.
Right, you're the oldest guy there.
I'm the second oldest. The oldest was like a 41-year-old.
Whoa.
He got age waivers because he was an attorney, and he was
life choices. I don't even.
It's like a midlife crisis thing. He was going to go fly helicopters. So he enlisted so he could go warrant officer to fly helicopters.
Oh,
So he
warrant
joined
officer.
the army to be a pilot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Crazy.
Yep.
Interesting
He was
choice.
a really cool Thurman. His name was Thurman. He was solid. I mean, he's an attorney. Just even keeled.
Sure. Yeah.
Slow to temper. He was nonplussed. You couldn't get to him.
Yeah.
So other than him and then some junior college football player who thought he was like the shiz,
Mm-hmm.
he was my age. He had something to prove to everybody. Of
course.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So, but most of these kids like really like looked up to me. And this one kid in particular, I remember I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth real quick. And,
As always.
I think I was on fire guard, which you have 2 shifts of fire guard every night and 2 people on each shift for fire guard. And it's from back in the days when you'd like be bivouacked and people would be smoking and they'd fall asleep with their cigarette and they'd set fires in the camp.
No way.
Interesting.
And so the army started setting fire guards to like respond to any sort of incidents like that. So now the army uses fire guard as like a 24/7.
Yeah.
You're just on watch.
Yeah.
And so we had to do that every night in our own bay. Part of the fire guard's job was to also sweep and clean quietly. And then if a drill sergeant comes in at night, if like the fire guard's asleep, that's when you get woken up and you're doing PT at like 2 a.m. And so I think I was on fire guard, so I was getting ready to brush my teeth. This kid comes in. He's like, "Hey, Stuart, I just had a question. What do you think would happen if someone like took like maybe 20 ibuprofen?" And first of all, you're not supposed to have ibuprofen. You're not supposed to have any drugs with you at all.
Wow, not even ibuprofen.
You can't have anything. Like
Dang.
the drill sergeants have to like, they're in control of all sorts. Like,
Okay.
anything. Right. So I'm just like, dude, why are you asking? Like, who cares? We don't have like, I'm like, dude, I don't know.
Kidney failure.
He's like, well, okay, maybe not 20, but like, how many do you think you can take at once? I'm like, dude, what does the bottle say? Like 200 milligram tablets in 4 hours or something? Not to exceed more, I'm like, what does the bottle say? Just do what the bottle says. I'm like, why are you even asking me? He's like, oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah, I just curious. It's one of these weird things that got stuck in my head. So in the weeks preceding this, he's telling everybody, because when the shiz really starts getting tiring and annoying and hard, he's like, dude, I can get you out of here. You want to go home? Let me know. Trust me, I know how to get people out of here. Just like strategies to get kicked out of basic training without having to come back.
Oh, okay. Wait, I thought
Is there no way to just voluntarily of your own will drop out?
I'm not certain because you've signed a contract.
okay.
Oh.
Here's why I'm not certain.
Yeah.
So later that night, as I'm on fire guard, To be honest, I was asleep. I was I was a senior platoon sergeant. I was asleep. I really didn't care. But all of a sudden, I get woken up and I hear just this kid like screaming at the top of his lungs. And I hear like boom, boom, like someone running up the stairs. Da, 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 da. And then the back door slams open and it's another one of my soldiers.
Oh.
And he's like, oh, I can't remember this kid's name. We'll call him Eddie, whatever. Eddie, he's hurt real bad. You gotta come look. I'm like, what? So I run over to the stairwell. I look down 2 flights of stairs, and he's like crumpled on the landing, holding his knee, like I'm like, what the crap is going on? So I run down there. He's like, oh, I slipped and fell and hit my kneecap. Oh, and there's the guy's 2 rifles are on the ground on the landing.
Okay.
Which they shouldn't have had the rifles with them.
No.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, dude. So I'm like, me and the other guy who found him, because he heard him screaming first,
Right.
we help him up the stairs. And then I go down to the duty office to our other drill sergeant who's there overnight all the time.
Dang.
And I'm like, basically report to her and tell her what happened. Well, come to find out, the kid who's been telling everyone that he can get you out and set you home, no problem, all will be forgiven. He paid this other kid $200 to break his kneecap.
Oh my gosh. With the butt of his rifle?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Butt stroking it.
I knew it.
So what happened? Lo and behold, so he cracked his kneecap in half. What the beautiful, wonderful Army machine did was because he's on a training base, so it's under their watch and under their care. So they put him on what's called convalescent leave, take him to the hospital, do whatever they do, stitch him up, whatever, put him in a cast, put him in traction.
Off base hospital or on base?
Totally on base. This man is owned by the Army. They put him on convalescent leave until he heals and finishes physical therapy. And then they recycle him, which means they start him over in the next class.
Right.
So he just prolonged his suffering.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
And this happened at like week 5. Like we were almost done.
Oh my gosh.
We were almost done.
What was ibuprofen for though? Did he like shove as much down as he could before cracking it?
I think that's my thought. That's what he must have done. And it was funny because when the drill sergeant later came and talked to me, she called me Stuart Little. Hated her for that. Because she'd also scream it in my face in front of everybody. So I'm like, come on. And she's smaller than me, like, she loved me though. She was kind of like a mom. She was psychotic though. She was like the worst of all of them. But she's like, Stuart Little, come into my office. I'm like, okay. She's like, what the happened? And I'm like, so I tell her everything. She's like, are you saying you saw rifles down there? I'm like, yeah, 2 rifles. She's like, and he asked you what about ibuprofen? I'm like, yep. She's like, okay, thanks. We're going to get his, butt. I'm like, yeah, good, do it. And I'm telling her all the other stuff he had told everyone. So I bought a lot of street cred with her. Because I'm like,
that's not street cred.
I rat on everybody.
She's the man. That's not street cred.
Yeah, that's fair.
Eddie got the street cred.
Eddie did. Yeah. Oh my gosh. I wish I remember his name because I would totally look him up and see if he's on the global address list or anything. But then that goes into another story. We had this other kid in another one of the platoons who we were like 2 weeks from graduation. We go into the dining facility. So you wake up really early. I can't remember when, 5:30, maybe 5. You go do physical training first. And then you go straight from physical training to breakfast. And then from breakfast to hygiene, change, get all your equipment, get ready for the training day.
Okay.
And when you go in through the dining facility line, like you're prim and proper, like you have steps and things to do for how you walk, obviously, like how you walk, which direction you're going to turn, how you hold the door open, how to get out of the way if a drill sergeant's coming.
Goodness.
How you like walk with your tray in your hand, and you have to like do facing movements, like drill and ceremony facing movements. So you'll march, and then when you're ready to get your next food item, you like right face, and you have like they have to say thank you to everybody.
Present
left
the
face.
tray.
Yeah, you basically, and you do that for the entire freaking length of this dining facility line until you can get, and then you get to your table, and you're like get there,
Eating
you
like
set
a
it
robot
down,
still.
and it's crazy. So I'm already sitting down eating, and you have like 5 minutes to eat, period. You just go, and you got to get out and go.
I mean, it probably wasn't food you wanted to savor anyway, right?
Not particularly. Honestly, I don't really remember.
Sure, but those are the kind of habits that prevents people from towing the line.
True that.
Scarfing down
True
in
that.
5 minutes.
Well, it's because they forgot to eat the dinner rolls. That always clogs you up. So this one morning, I'm sitting down and just scarfing as fast as I can, and you just hear this kid screaming at the top of his lungs from the food line all the things that you're supposed to say to the food server, like, "Yes, ma'am, thank you, ma'am," and then next position, "No, ma'am, thank you, ma'am," and the next one, "Yes, ma'am, thank you, ma'am." And he just keeps yelling like louder and louder and louder.
He finally lost it.
Dude, he broke. So, like, as soon as the drill sergeants hear him screaming, they're on him like sharks, They're like, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And he's responding to them by yelling at the top of his lungs. And they're like, "Soldier, what the?" Like, "What are you just can't talk to me that way." He's like, "Drill sergeant, I'm not talking to you anyway." And you could tell when you looked at him and the things he was saying, like, he either did not know what he was doing or he was literally not in control of his voice box. He had lost it. And the rumor on the street was that they shipped him off to medical for like a psych eval and everything, because it was like something like snap for sure. So just a crazy time. It was actually really fun. It was mostly fun to be kind of disconnected from the drama and not really care about the pressure and what was going on, and just observe everyone else just eating it and not handling it well at all. It was amazing. So
10 out of 10.
Basic training, 10 out of 10. Would go again.
Has gone again.
Has gone again. And recommend it to everyone, except for my children.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dang it, that's what I was going to do.
Oh, shoot. Do it. You're going to do it better.
Thank you
For being our brother.
Wow,
That might be too energetic, though.
Okay. we'll take another run at it then.
Okay. For being our brother.
The first one was too energetic.
Gotcha.
For show notes, rockin' merch, and other brother goodness, check out our website at anotherbrotherpodcast.com.
Be sure to come back next week.
And tell your friends so they too can become a
Brother over here, brother over there.